what it takes to survive as a Republican in the Northeast?
Well, I think people not voting. I think New York City has a large demographic of Democrats, but at the same time, the Republican Party is the one that show up to vote, and those include the richest of the rich. So New York is a very rich city, and with that being said, they want to make sure that the person that they vote into office keeps their taxes low, and works with them. So it's easy for a Republican Party or a Republican mayor to stay in office because they're going to make sure that they show up and vote. And a lot of the Democrats per se are low to middle class, and that's a small percentage. It's probably a larger percent, but they're a small percentage of people that show up to vote, and that's on the HuffingtonPost.com, Huffington Post Politics, and it clearly states that as well. So this is not just my opinion; it's fact.
Yeah, all right.
So I'm just going to give you a stat.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
752 individuals voted for, what's his name, DiBiase?
Yeah.
Yeah.
DeBlasio.
Whatever his name is, yeah. And 249,000 voted for the Democrat. So that's kind of, that says it all.
The Democrat or the Republican?
He's a Democrat.
The DiBiase is Democrat?
Yeah, he's a Democrat.
All
So
right,
this is the first Democrat they will have in office as mayor in 20 years.
Right. So just flip what I just said, and just scratch what I just said because I was looking at it totally different. All right. So finally, the Democrats have showed up in New York because beforehand, previous to this, they did not. So finally, they came together and had enough votes. I guess they were just tired of what was been going on beforehand with the past two mayors.
I think stop and frisk had a lot to do with it.
Of course it did. Stop and frisk, the taxes, the increase in the subway system. I heard a lot of people gripe about that. They raise the prices like every year by $2.
Wow.
What?
Yeah.
So it must cost like $8 to ride the train.
And how many people in New York do you know have a license, a driver license?
Yeah,
I mean, they have a license.
You can't even fit a car in there. You can't even park a car in the streets out there.
That's crazy.
I'm going to see.
It's kind of rough.
Yeah, no, for me, it kind of, the red flags go up. Anthony Cook just taught me that Jelani actually was a Democrat before he became a Republican.
Yeah.
And so was Bloomberg.
Yep.
So, I don't know, maybe the people of New York just had a change of heart. They needed a change of leadership. But actually, Bloomberg, he became independent in 2007, so he didn't want an affiliation with Democrat or Republican.
Yeah.
So, but they seem like New York is a very liberal state, and they just want things to work for them. And hey, I honestly agree with their mindset, like whatever works for us,
Yeah, Giuliani, when he ran for mayor and won in '93, his campaign focused on quality of life, crime, business, and education. So he did a lot for education. And also in terms of crime, some people will argue that there were some things happening like with that CompStat program that he had there, that they were able to manipulate the statistics on crime. And so, whatever you have to say about Giuliani.
What were they doing with the manipulated statistics?
It was saying that because of the CompStat program that they were able to move certain crimes over to one spot to the other. I don't know the details about it because that stuff is just too complicated for me, but,
No, I was just saying, repeat what you just said, the last part.
Oh, what, the CompStat? About them, they'll move one thing to one category, and then they'll move it over to the other side so that one category goes down in statistics. So let's say, for instance, stabbings. If stabbings and shootings and murders go into one group, but then you take shootings and you separate them from homicides, then that's going to change. That's going to skew the numbers and how it's looked at. So that was part of the controversy of the CompStat program, that they could move things around if they wanted to make the numbers change. And That was one of the things that they said about the CompStat program with Mayor Giuliani. But you know, hey, he spent 2 terms there. He was there during 9/11. I mean, he did the best he could with the situation that he was dealt. He wanted to try to extend his term, but they said, nah, that ain't happening. And then Bloomberg was able to take over. Now Bloomberg, that's an interesting guy because he's worth 31 million. No,
Yeah,
31
he's one
billion.
of the richest.
31 billion, right?
Yeah, one of the richest people in the
7th richest person in the United States.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Is he?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, as a mayor.
Yeah. And he gets paid $1 a year as a mayor.
Being the 7th richest person, I think that give back that $1.
And I think he doesn't live in the mansion. I can't remember the name of the mayor's mansion in New York City.
He has his own mansion, I would assume.
Yes, of course.
A couple of them.
Or has his own residence in New York City. And he takes the subway.
Yeah, okay. So he shuts down a whole subway for himself. He doesn't.
He doesn't. He's not the president. He doesn't have to shut down the subway. So he can sit in there with a couple of cops, and it'll be all right.
So the mayor of New York takes the subway with the rest of the public.
Yeah.
Is that what's being said?
That's what is being said, even though they may transport him by SUV from one line to the next so that he doesn't have to go down the unexpressed lines.
And how often does this happen?
Probably every day.
Really? Yeah, I believe I call that bluff right there. I mean, just by the manpower that would cost, though. The brigade
probably fill up half a train with his security.
Yeah, exactly. So is he really making a mark, or is he costing the taxpayers more money?
Maybe he's causing the taxpayers that have to wait for the next express train.
Yeah.
I don't know about
Get enough personnel to back him. But yeah, he's not going to be in office much longer anyway. So
well, what the key thing is, we got to see what these new mayors are all about, because they have a lot to do. And people are watching. The streets is watching, as they would say.
Yeah.
Because if you look at Bloomberg right now, what he did, I don't think he's liked by the police officers in New York.
I don't think the police officers in New York like any of the last 2 mayors. Because, I mean, I've heard some officers complain about the contracts they've had under both Giuliani and Bloomberg.
Because I was talking to someone. He said that they basically made, like, minimum wage while they were in the academy.
Yeah, I heard it's really tough for the rookie police.
Yeah.
Out there.
And it takes about 5 years for them to even get, like, a decent amount of salary.
That's horrible.
And I mean, in a city like New York, I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But
going back to, Giuliani, he tried to extend his term after 9/11. Bloomberg, he set it up while he was in office so that he can get a 3rd term as mayor. We've had 1 mayor in Boston that whole time. What do you think of term limits? Do you think term limits are good? Do you think term limits are necessary? And that's one of the first things that this new committee, this city council that's coming in for Boston, one of their focuses, at least Flaherty, he ran for mayor against Menino, I think the last time. And well, not the last time. I think before that, and he won his city council seat citywide. And one of his focuses is term limits on mayors. What do you think? Do you think they're necessary? Do you think they're good? Do you think they're bad? I just want the panel's thoughts.
I think there needs to be limits on any leadership role, because again, the purpose of, like, historically, the reason why we have term limits is because of our democracy. Like, we want our leadership to be people run. So after 4 years, which is the mayoral term limit, after 4 years, if you haven't done your job, then the people are going to vote you out. So obviously, if Menino got put in office for 20 years, then obviously he was doing what the majority of the people, or the people who voted, wanted. So I definitely think that term limits need to be put in place, because I mean, 4 years, although it's not a significant amount of time, you can accomplish at least 1 or 2 agenda items that you have. So, I mean, it gives people a trial ever to see, like, how much you can accomplish.
I don't believe in term limits, because say you have someone who is just so good at leading, this person was born to lead, the best qualified man out there, and you say, oh, your time's up, see you later, we're going to replace you with someone who's not going to be as good as you.
No, but he has opportunity to get into office again. As
No,
far as
oh.
mayors, not, I mean, term limits, I'm just talking about term limits as far as how many years you get. Once your term is done, it's over. I mean, as far as like saying for president you can't run again, that's kind of
No,
difficult. I don't know why they
I
do
believe
that,
in like term limits as far as like they should be re-elections every 4 years, but I don't think it should be limited to 2 terms or 3 terms because you might be so good at leading and we have to put an inferior man in because your time's up. I don't believe in that.
Well, I look at it like this, right? I believe in term limits, and I don't think that in terms of, let's focus on Boston. I think 3 terms as mayor in Boston, and you have to step down, and then if you're that good, come back in 4 years, and then you can run another 3 terms. It's really you can do that. I mean,
you can do that.
Back. You can come back. Like, I don't know about the president. I think once it's your 8 years, it's your 8 years is up. I mean, there hasn't been a president. If there's something in the books where a president can come back, I'm sure that might happen sometime in the future. But as of right now, I don't know about the president. But
like
I know
the
locally,
the Bush came back as a younger form. No, but I think
like
about.
Cheney.
But honestly, as the president, like think about physiologically how much damage that does to your body. Obama went like completely gray. That means there's a whole bunch amount of stress. So like
and Bush
8
too,
years,
Bush
that's a
before him.
long time. You're in that's like 2 college degrees.
And George,
I don't know. I think it's a long time.
And George Bush
to be
Jr.
a
too.
president.
And George Bush Jr. too. He went gray as well.
And he also had a
Yeah, I
heart
mean it's
attack.
a lot of
He had a heart
stress.
Oh, something wrong with his heart.
Wow.
Clinton too. There's a lot of stress in that. But as far as like maybe these
Is that
smaller,
stress or guilt, though, Bree?
it could be both. It could be
for
both.
real,
I'm sure they
for
all
real.
have blood on their hands.
Yeah, of course.
I'm sure they all have
You can't
innocent
be
blood
a-
on their
you
hands.
can't be a
But
leader-
that's stressful.
Yeah, you can't be the leader of a major country and not have blood on your hands. Yeah, it's just impossible.
Yeah.
You got to make decisions. You got to make hard decisions. Just like being the leader of a family. You have hard decisions to make. If your kid's a mess up, and you have to cover for that kid. You have to make that. There's hard decisions that you have to make as a leader of a family, much less a leader of 280 million people. And balancing what's right with protecting your country. Yeah, you're gonna have blood on your hands. It's impossible not to.
But also, I think the terms give people a chance to reflect. I think a lot of people in this country do not reflect on where they came from, where they've been, and to really, really know about what are you going to do in the future. Because if we didn't have terms in their campaigns, what is their theme? Like, what are they going to do? Yes, you've done all this great work, okay, but just because you did 4 years of great work doesn't mean you could chill for the next 4 years. What are you going to do for the 4 years coming? Changes always has to happen.
I think on a local level, we should not implement terms because, like for instance, Mayor Menino, a lot of people might disagree with the way he ran the office, but he did a lot of good things for the city of Boston. And but at the same time, we don't know any better.
He started off well. I mean,
we don't know any better because nobody else got into office for 2 decades,
and we didn't give anyone else a chance.
Right.
Because we were used to having something.
Correct.
It's like a couple that that's going bad. Just because they're used to each other,
they're gonna stick it through.
they're gonna stick it through.
Yeah.
And like you said, Mayor Menino, he did great things for the city, and he continued to do great things for the city. He tried to build his legacy towards the end. So he's done a lot of good for the city, but at the same time, we didn't give anyone else a chance.
No, we
we
didn't.
couldn't see. Right now, we're still dealing with, okay, what is it going to be without him?
Right, but is it because we didn't give anybody else a chance, or we didn't vote anybody else in? And the reason I say that, not enough of us came to vote. Because if you look, I think this is probably even the times where Mayor Menino were in office, there were less turnouts for voting.
And I think for incumbents, it's harder for them when that turnout is higher.
Right.
So you want a low turnout as an incumbent.
Yeah, so
that most of your people end up voting for you. So yeah, there wasn't like high turnout. It's almost people were voting without voting, saying, okay, we want we want the mayor back, so I'm not even going to come out. We know who's going to win this one. You know, that's kind of like what they're saying.
I'm changing my mind about not voting. I said earlier I wouldn't vote again.